Okay, so this week didn't really have time to create a specific what if scenario. Didn't really think about any position groups to completely break down. So instead, we're going to go with something pretty basic. Who do I think is going to be the biggest breakout candidate this year? And obviously, there are a lot of people. So instead of just naming one person and using this whole episode to explain why that person is going to break out, I decided to manage a top 5 about people that I think could break out and then talk about why my number 1 is there. Obviously, these other 4 I'm going to have an explanation for, but that's really the gist of the episode. So anyway, what's good, y'all? Welcome back to the Titans Rundown. I am your host, Micah McCamey, and in today's episode, just like I said in the intro, we are going to be talking about my top 5 Titans breakout candidates. There are a lot of people on this roster that could very well end up fitting this criteria. Heck, even some people that have had good seasons, kind of like Peter Skronsky, who had a pretty good season last year, but we know that he can make that next jump into something even better. Or even somebody like Dan Moore, who really has had some on and off seasons in Pittsburgh, but we did sign him on because we felt like that his quarterback room was not doing him any favors whenever he was blocking for these guys like Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, who are iconic, not in the best way, for the fact that they hold on to the ball for too long sometimes, and that means that the sack numbers significantly inflate because of the fact that they just don't get the ball out too quick. But anyway, let's get into today's episode, starting out with my number 5. This is the only rookie that's going to be on the list. It's Alec Aomanor, wide receiver from Stanford. Again, if you are on my Twitter, go to the Titans Rundown. I'll have it linked in the description. But if you're on my Twitter, you know how much I just love Alec Aomanor. Like, this guy, he's got the frame, he's got the speed, he's been catching on pretty quickly. His upside is really high. And thanks to the leadership of, again, Cam Ward, he has been able to catch on a lot quicker than a lot of people were expecting, because he's been getting up early, going and studying film with him, getting some workouts in. Like, he has been on the absolute grind, and he's got this really solid work ethic that makes me think, hey, this guy could shock some people, okay? Puka Nacua, maybe. Like, he could be that type of level of dude. Well, not that type of level of dude, but like becoming a guy that ends up shocking a lot of people after being picked late in the draft and not really expected to do much in year 1, and probably not expected to do much as a receiver in general. Like, I just got a really good feeling about this dude. Like, I think that he is just going to be a beast. But the only reason that I have him at number 5 as a breakout is that, again, he's just a rookie. Like, we don't have anything else to go off of. So even if he does have a really good year, I don't know if you could really consider it a breakout year as much as it is just a really good first step. Like, year 2 is whenever we start talking about breakout. And if I had to take a guess, especially if he does show the flash that I am expecting him to, we could definitely see him come back on this list this time next year. Again, that's just a hunch, but I just got a really strong feeling about Alec Aomanor. And to think about the fact that he had terrible quarterbacks throughout college. I mean, Ashton Daniels, are you kidding me? Like, this guy has been having to grind for every single one of his yards. So imagine what it's going to be like if Cam Ward even ends up being average. Like, he finally has an average quarterback, and he doesn't have to carry as much. So that's just why I think Alec Aomanor, number 5 on my list, and honestly is probably going to shock a lot of people. I don't know if it'll be this year, but I am very confident that it'll at least be in the next 2 or 3 years. All right, number 4, J.C. Latham. This dude, again, kind of like Alec Aomanor, is a really hard worker with really high upside. And unlike Alec, we actually have some stuff to go off of. Last year, he didn't have the best stat line, like gave up a lot of sacks and all that stuff. But there are 2 things. 1, he still showed a lot of flashes. And 2, he wasn't even in his natural position. He was at left tackle. Honestly, was one of the weirdest moves for the Titans to make. Like, if it were up to me, I would have tried to trade down and go get a tackle. Looking back in hindsight, especially after Joe Alt went off the board. But anyway, if your plan was to take left tackle as a right tackle, I think this dude's going to be really good. Like, as a right tackle, this guy has some really high upside. Okay, he's a big dude. hard worker again. Like, if you've seen some of the pictures of him coming from the off season, you'll see what I mean. Like, this guy was huge last year, and he still is huge. That doesn't mean that he's not. It's just that you can tell that he has definitely lost weight, okay? Now, my thing about this guy being a breakout candidate is the fact that he really is going to be in a new position. Like, again, I know that he played right tackle in college, but going into the NFL playing right tackle again, like, it's just going to be really weird for him at first because of the fact that, like, he switched from left tackle to right tackle in the NFL. Like, it's going to be a little bit difficult for him to adjust to that. But I still do think that he'll probably end up being pretty decent, even if it does take him a little bit to get going. But also, no, I'm not expecting him to be a top 10 tackle by the end of this year. I think that's ridiculous, and I think that's way too much pressure to put on a guy like J.C. Latham. He needs time to develop. Year 3, if you want to start trying to think, okay, maybe he should end up trying to get to top 10 year 3 or year 4, I'm 100% on board with that. But having that expectation for him in year 2 is absolutely wildly irresponsible. And I can't believe that there are people that I see that actually have that take, almost as bad as the T'Vondre Sweat takes. Anyway, speaking of which, coming in at number 3, T'Vondre Sweat. Like, look, okay, again, this guy, the only reason that he's not higher is because he's already had a really solid season under his belt, and he has been a very solid run stopper. Absolutely humongous. I mean, he makes Big Jeff look like a kid. Like, my gosh, this dude can swallow up an entire O-line and get defenders, or get offensive linemen distracted to where they're double teaming T'Vondre Sweat while Big Jeff has a one-on-one with the right guard, which then ends up leading to Big Jeff hopefully starting to gain some more sacks. I'm really hoping that that's what ends up happening this year. Like, that was what we were expecting last year, but I'm hoping that that really comes through this year, especially since we have a little bit more pass rushing help with Fime and Arden Key, and also Draymond Jones. Like, with all those guys, I'm hoping that Big Jeff can be a little bit more sneaky with the pass rush, because last year it was like, okay, if you block T'Vondre Sweat and Big Jeff, chances are you're going to have a decent amount of time in the pocket, right? Like, there was no fear about, let me think, Arden Key or Harold Landry that really just was not playing that great last year. Apart from those first few weeks, he's just a cleanup guy. Like, and I hate to say that because I love Harold Landry, but he is just, he started to become a cleanup guy after the ACL tear. Like, I think that he would have stayed pretty premier if he wouldn't have torn his ACL. But anyway, again, hoping that if he takes a big step in that pass rushing ability, I think that he'll go a level above what people are seeing him as right now. Like, some people are seeing him as, okay, fine run stopper, but can he pass rush? And I think that this year is his big chance to gain some pass rushing ability and then show everybody, hey, I have a pass rush bag in me. Like, I have the potential to help in the pass rush. Like, it's not like I'm just a run stopper. Like, I can do that too. Like, that is what his big opportunity is this year as the defensive tackle. And yeah, that's really all I got for T'Vondre Sweat. Him coming in at number 3. Again, could be number 2 or even number 1. Like, I think that he may have actually been number 1 last year, maybe. But that may be a different list, though. I know I had him on a list at number 1 that had something to do with this. But again, only reason that he's not higher on this list is because he already had a pretty solid season last year. And if he did the exact same thing, I wouldn't be upset about it, honestly. But anyway, coming in at number 2, similar thing with T'Vondre Sweat, we have Jarvis Brownlee Jr. Okay, this guy, he shocked a lot of people last season. He shocked myself included. Like, whenever I saw him come in, I was just like, okay, this guy, he's a rookie, drafted out of like the 5th round or something like that. Let him develop, let him have, let me think about this. Let him have some flashes, and then that would be all I would have to be satisfied with. But no, he was really good from the jump. He was really solid. He had some really good games, especially against the Texans. He was just forced to be reckoned with for most of the season that he did start. And honestly, he had a solid rookie year. And if he did that throughout the entire year, I think that he would have been argued to potentially be one of the best corners in the NFL this year. But that's the thing. He only played one half of the season. Okay. So this time he will be starting from the jump. So that makes me think, okay, we've seen this before. I mean, Otis Reese, for goodness sakes. And, there are some casual listeners here that don't really keep up with the depth chart of the Tennessee Titans thinking, who's Otis Reese? And that's my point. He had a really solid second half of the year, his rookie year. Had some really good flash moments and overall was actually a really solid linebacker year one. But ever since then, he really has just not gone on to do anything at all, really. And just again, he is somebody that you need to be he is somebody that you just need to have a little bit of a radar on. This guy, this guy is just, Jarvis Brownlee I'm talking about, is really solid. Again, he could just be a second half flash in the pan type of guy that he had a really good second half of the year and then falls off after that. But no, man, I think he's going to be really good. And think about this. Again, I know L'Jarius Sneed didn't look great last year, but having him beside Jarvis Brownlee is probably better than having a significantly more washed Chidobe Awuzie or Darrell Baker, who honestly I think is a little underrated, but again, just doesn't really have just this amazing thing about him whenever it comes to his game. He's just a really solid rotational piece more than anything. But anyway, again, reason that he's at number 2 and not at number 1 is the same thing as T Sweat. He already had a really solid season. But but the reason that he is higher than T'Vondre Sweat is because of the fact that he only did it for half the season, while T Sweat did it for an entire season. So that's why I have Jarvis Brownlee at number 2. And coming in at number 1, we have a tie. I didn't really know which one to put on this list, but it's the 2 young linebackers, James Williams and Cedric Gray. Okay, I didn't know who to put on this list because it seems like that from early reports, James Williams could end up being the starter, but there's also a thing where it's Cedric Gray's coverage is probably a lot better than James Williams. I mean, that is in zone of man. So, it really depends on what this staff is looking for. Upside, they'll go with... Sorry, chucked my pen. Upside, they'll go with James Williams. If it's not upside, it's just somebody that could go in and do some decent coverage, it will be Cedric Gray. It's one or the other, depending on what they have. But here's the thing. They still both have really high upside, and were both drafted by Rand Carton, who, even though, I know that some people have their problems with him as manager, as GM for the Titans over those 2 years. I even have some small problems with him. But here's something that you can't deny. Even whenever he was with San Francisco, he was always, I mean always, a really good drafter whenever it came to linebacker. I mean, he was the one that found Fred Warner in the late rounds. Let's not forget that. This guy is a really, really solid linebacker. This guy's a really, really solid drafter of linebackers. So whenever I say that, just think about this. These 2, again, have both high upside. So Carthen saw something in them, and it's something that I would give him credit for if one of these 2 ended up being really solid, which I think they will. I don't know if both of them will end up being solid, but I think one of them will. But here's the thing. Here's the one thing that, it's confusing. What if neither of them start? What if, a guy like Otis Reese or that, let me try and think. Or that, golly, why can't I remember his name? That other linebacker from Texas, David, I'm not even going to try and pronounce his last name, but you know who I'm talking about. Like, what if he came in and just was scorching fire and ended up being the starting linebacker? Or heck, I mentioned Otis Reese earlier. He could show that stuff that he showed in his rookie year and end up being the other starting linebacker. Like, it's really like it's one or it's like really confusing, honestly, what's going on with the linebacker battle. Again, I think that we'll get more clarity about that whenever we get the pads on and everybody is starting to get settled into what they actually could end up being. So again, I've predicted Cedric Gray, but believe me, it's basically a coin flip in my opinion. But anyway, that was the list. I do want to throw in one honorable mention, or I guess multiple, but it's Cam Ward and all the other rookies. I only put Alec on here just because of his ridiculous upside, and I just want any excuse I can to talk about Alec. But again, Cam Ward could end up coming in and just being Jaden Daniels. It's a very low possibility, but there is a tiny chance. Again, if he just ends up coming in and being a Caleb Williams, I think most Titans fans, even though they act like that Caleb Williams was terrible, they would be happy with Caleb Williams' production out of a starting quarterback, especially after seeing Will Levis and the corpse of Ryan Tannehill playing the past couple of years. Like, that's just how I feel. Also, Femi Oladejo, like, obviously that guy could end up being a specimen from the get-go and ends up developing a lot more than we're expecting, and he ends up being really great in his first year. Who else is there? Oh yeah, Kevin Winston. That dude could end up being a beast. Xavier Restrepo, Chime Udoka, heck, even Marcus Harris could do something. Excuse me. Like, again, all the rookies have a chance to have really good seasons, but I left them off here because, again, they are rookies, and a lot of these guys, especially Cam Ward, are expected to do big things, so I wanted to go for a little bit more of an interesting thing whenever it came to these guys. But anyway, that's it for today's episode. If you want more of me, I have Instagram and Twitter under the Titans Rundown. Or for the podcast listeners, I have YouTube. So if you want a more visual version of this stuff, then you can go over to my YouTube channel. But anyway, that's going to do it all for me. This has been a rundown of your Tennessee Titans. I love y'all, and tighten up.